All right, we're back to some smaller redwoods over in the creek area right here. We're standing on a little bridge. And I noticed some things I forgot to let you know, the useful parts of the redwood. Not only is it fire resistant, we said that it was good for building, but if you see the light green parts of this branch, okay, and this branch, the very edge, the new growth at the end of the branches, it's a lighter green than the rest of them. That is actually very high in vitamin C. So if you were to make a salad because you were an Ohlone Indian, you might take one or two, not too many because they're very tart, but one or two and just sprinkle it over the top of your salad. And then you would get your vitamin C because again, there's no Walgreens, there's no Safeway, so you gotta pick up some vitamin C somewhere. Okay? The cones that we talked about before, the teeny tiny cones, well, when they first come out, they are actually green. And when they're green, if you they're all closed up, and you put them in water in a jar and shake it all up, after a few days, it will be a beautiful red tinged color. If you then take some white material or skins that are white, that have been, all the fur has been taken off, and you soak them into this red water, the red dye will actually turn the cloth or the leather red. So that was another thing that was very, very prized. If they had cloth, it works a lot better. Also at the base of this redwood tree, as I'm looking right now, is right here. Do you see this right here? Okay. This right here is a turret spider home. Turrets, like the turrets on a castle where the archers stood way up and around like that. Inside this is a spider, and if you can see inside, probably not. It's lined with silk on the inside. So they don't make a spider web to catch things because they're hunters. But they do line it so that they're comfortable. So there is webbing on the inside. At nighttime, the spider will come out, and he usually closes the door behind him, which means that the spider is out hunting right now. He goes and captures his prey, so he's definitely a hunter. And then he will go ahead and ingest his prey, and then he'll come back to his castle at night. So this, again, is a turret spider, and they're usually found at bases of trees and on rocks and on steep hills. Well, we're almost down to camp, and we're out of signs right here, but we did stop here because here is a sample of wild strawberry. Now, unlike the ones in the market that get huge, these are very small when they come out. But you can tell the leaves look exactly the same, so all of this in here is wild strawberry. Now, down here in this multitude of plants is a plant from the mint family, and this one is called Yerba Buena. It's one of my favorites, and my Hispanic grandmother used to bring this home and dry it. If you pick a leaf and smell it, very strong mint. And so what they would do with the Yerba Buena is they would take it, dry it, and then when they were ready, they would make it into a tea. The tea was very, very good for upset stomachs. So if you had too much to eat at Thanksgiving, you would then have a cup of Yerba Buena tea at the end of your meal to help settle your stomach down. So one of my favorites, and it really smells good. Okay, so this says Coyote Bush, and it's kind of fooling you because there's a lot of other plants around it. But this one right here is Coyote Bush. Coyote Bush is what we call an indicator species. Indicates means that it's changing zones. Remember I told you at the beginning there's 5 major zones. Well, we're in the forested area right now, but we just came over a creek, and the creek's right down below. It's full of a lot of water in the wintertime when the snows have melted and the water makes its way down here. There's a beautiful hazelnut tree over there, but the coyote bush, this one, has little teeth on it on the leaf. And so that might be why the Native Americans called it coyote bush. But it also is what they call a monocot. It only has one kind of flower. It doesn't have male and female flowers, but only has either male or female. The only way you can tell is if it is in bloom. If the flowers are bright white, like a bride's dress, then it's a girl. If the flowers are yellowish color, then it's a boy. And so we need our pollinators to cross-pollinate to get more coyote bush. But it has very small leaves, so it's great in drought. And again, it is an indicator bush that tells you you're going from one zone to another zone. Okay, so we made another stop. This is roses. So these are wild roses though. These aren't the ones that are from your horticulturist. That's not usually the ones you buy in the store. The ones that are normally and naturally found in the forest, they only have 4 petals on them for the whole rose, but they are a beautiful, glorious pink. When the rose dies, then what you're going to see are these nice little red berries. And these red berries are not berries at all. They are where the petals of the rose were. And these are called rose hips. Rose hips are very useful to us because it's another thing that's very, very high in vitamin C. So they're dried, you're going to boil some water, put them in, and you would get your daily dose of vitamin C. So you can see like a rose, okay, it has sharp little thorns on it, tiny little ones, and it's mixed in with a lot of other plants, but that is wild rose. Okay, this beautiful orange flower comes in orange and yellow. This plant right here is called sticky monkey. A lot of kids at camp know sticky monkey. It has these tiny little leaves, and it's said, I don't know whether it's true or not, but that the Native Americans would use this because it's sticky on the back, and they would use it to cover simple wounds, so it's not going to come off, just to keep out the dirt. No antibacterial properties. If you see these at camp, you can wear them as earrings if you've forgotten your earrings. Valley Oak. Now, if you get to this spot on the trail and you look around, you don't see the Valley Oak. What you see is is the Bay Laurel with all the nuts that we didn't see before hanging from the bottom of the tree. So that's the California Bay Laurel nut, the one I told you was edible with leaching. If you follow the tree, however, up and way over to where I am, here I am, you can see that it has yet a different type of leaf. Again, it's going to have acorns. The acorns are food. The wood can be used. The only difference is on this one, and Huddart Park has about 7 different types of oaks. It has lobed edges, okay, more rounded, and no points on the end like the black oak did. So again, this is the valley oak. Okay, what you're looking at is a whole bunch of a little flock of Junko birds. They like to be on the ground. They are looking for seeds and small insects that they're going to eat. So they are going to be your omnivores, with omni being the word that means all, vor means to eat. So they're going to eat both plants and animals. They're very cute. They're only like 2, maybe 4 inches, 5 at the outside. And they always fly in flocks just like chickadees do. There's way more grasses than we could ever talk about, but most kids like this one. This one is called rattlesnake grass. And rattlesnake grass, which is here, is called rattlesnake grass. The end of this one's actually missing because it looks like the rattle on a snake. And when the wind blows and knocks these things together, it sounds like the rattling of a rattlesnake. Another grass that's right here that you probably should know is this one right here. This is wild oats. So you know that when the settlers came over to the West Coast, from Europe, and they came to the United States West Coast, they brought something that the Native Americans had never seen. They brought both cattle and horses, which weren't here before. And so to feed the cattle and horses, they had to bring the wild oats. Well, the wild oats liked it so much that if you go anywhere by any roadsides, you can usually see a ton of wild oats. So here's another sample of wild oats and some more rattlesnake grass. Rattlesnake grass, all grasses are edible when they're in a young green state. And some of them are very tasty, but you can't eat too much, in fact, very little of it, because they have silica or sand in their composition and it would give you a terrible bellyache. But a little bit of it is okay. Okay, so this is about it. That was the beautiful Redwood Trail. If you look off to my left over there, would be where camp usually is. You can see a lot of fungus on that tree, which is a decomposer while I'm looking at it. And this is a beautiful bench in a redwood grove. And whenever you go over the bridge, you should always stomp your feet to make sure that the trolls don't come up and charge you a toll. And there's the little troll house where the trolls live under the bridge. So with that tale, I will let you go, and I hope you enjoyed taking your walk with me. Have a great day. Don't forget to circle what you saw.